creators first lights the spark of the Marvel Universe. In 1939, Martin Goodman, a publisher of pulp magazines, enters the comic book market as it first starts to boom. With no competition from TV, video games, or the internet, comics are enormously popular. The same year, enemies of freedom threaten the world. It's time for a new kind of superhero. Captain America. Released a year before the United States enters the war, the debut issue becomes a huge hit. Publisher Goodman sells nearly 1 million copies. In the aftermath of the war, comics are just as popular as ever, but superheroes have been taken over by crime and horror comics, which have parents concerned. By the early 50s, the controversy over comic books becomes a full-blown panic. Comic book burnings are even held around the USA. Sales plummet, and many publishers shut their doors. Martin Goodman is forced to cut more than 80% of his titles, leaving him with romance and western, but not a single superhero. He keeps a small operation running under the editorship of his nephew Stanley Lieber, better known to the world today as Stan Lee. Frustrated with comics' uncertain future, Stan thinks about quitting the business. His wife Joan urges him to do one more comic book on his own terms before giving up. Stan turns to Jack Kirby, one of the most imaginative visual storytellers in the history of comics. Working together, they develop a new kind of superhero team, the Fantastic Four. Unlike most superhero teams before them, the Fantastic Four are a family. They bicker, squabble, and love each other fiercely. No superheroes have ever seemed quite so real before. In 1961, the debut of the Fantastic Four receives more fan mail than any other Marvel publication that month. Stan and Jack know they have a hit. The duo embarks on an astounding burst of creativity over the next 2 years, giving audiences The Incredible Hulk, The Mighty Thor, The Invincible Iron Man, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and The Uncanny X-Men. The ideas were evolving even faster than Kirby's lightning-speed pencil could draw them all. Stan enlists additional artists like Steve Ditko. With Steve, he would develop one of the most popular characters of all time, the Amazing Spider-Man. A superhero like Spider-Man is unprecedented. A lonely orphan teen who struggles with being bullied in high school and who worries about the health of his ailing aunt. Stan and Steve have turned the concept of the superhero into a new kind of allegory for the pain of adolescence. Marvel puts the human into the superhuman, reflecting the reality of the readers' lives. And readers loved it. One day, in the summer of 1963, Stan and Jack realized that they could bring their solo characters together to form a whole new team. They called them the Avengers. By the end of the 60s, Marvel has introduced a vast number of now classic characters and is the top-selling publisher of superhero comics. Marvel's roster of heroes continues to grow and to reflect humanity's diversity. The Marvel Universe can now be found in every storytelling medium humans have devised. Starting with the Iron Man movie in 2008, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has drawn millions of people to theaters around the world. Now, for the first time, the history of their evolution brings these incredible superheroes together in one place.